Welcome to the Women Leaders Association podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. Be sure to tune in each week to hear an empowering message from the world's top women executives, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and all-around fierce female leaders. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I will be taking you on a deep dive of each message to equip you with the principles, strategies, and tools you need to start crushing your goals, increasing your impact, creating work-life harmony. And did I mention have more fun? Because when you love what you do it better. The Women Leaders Association is the world's largest women executives association with over 30,000 women in executive and leadership positions who are committed to the development and advancement of women in the corporate arena. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association chapter, would enjoy daily podcasts, or you desire to become a part of the Women's Mastermind group near you, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com. Now let's tune in for this incredible message. On today's episode, hear from Dr. Prudence Hall, founder of the Hall Center in Santa Monica, California. Dr. Hall strives to help clients achieve optimal health and actively prevent disease without the use of pharmaceutical drugs when appropriate. As a health consultant, she strives to help her clients achieve optimal well-being and actively prevent inevitable decline using proven, natural, regenerative methods. She is also the author of Radiant Again and Forever. Welcome, Dr. Hall. Hey, welcome back to the Women Leaders Progress. Yeah, it sure is, but it's also a podcast. And I am super excited that Dr. Prudence Hall is with us today. Welcome, Prudence.
Oh, thank you, Julianne. I'm so excited to be here. And we're going to create some beautiful stuff today.
Yes, we are. And ladies, you are in for a treat. I am so excited just to get to pick her brain for all of you because she is, she was a traditional OBGYN, and now she's kind of taken her practice into the more regenerative medicine and really helping that whole human, right? Not just seeing numbers on a chart, but actually seeing the person. And we're going to talk about perimenopause and energy levels and really how we as women need those to be in check in order to show up as the best version of ourselves and to lead others. So I'm excited for today. Welcome.
Oh, thank you.
So let's get started. How did you're a doctor and you're in it every single day. What was that switch that kind of happened for you to go, you know what, there's more that I wanted to go into here? What was that like for you?
Oh, that's an interesting question. So I trained in gynecology at USC's Keck School of Medicine. So this was a subspecialty. I come from a family of girls. There's one brother, but there are four girls in my family. And I just really, when I was looking at what is my avocation in life, what am I meant to do? It's like I am meant to serve women and to really help them to become much more who they were meant to come, with courage and ambition and a lot of authenticity. So when I came out of my residency, I was so well trained, Juliana. I felt like I was ready. And then I started seeing my menopausal patients, and I was giving them, the little bit of training that I got in gynecology. It wasn't a lot. It was basically see the patient. If she has a blood hormone that's greater than 20, that's called the FSH, well, then put her on Premarin and see her in a year. So in 1982, that's what I was doing. And women would come back really within the month crying and saying, well, how can this be? I mean, this does nothing for me. Nothing has changed. And it was really out of this sense of failure that I was failing my patients. And I had a number of menopausal and perimenopause. I didn't even know anything about perimenopause, but patients who were sounding menopausal, even though they were only 35 or 37. And it's just like, I failed. I shouldn't be a gynecologist because I'm not in service. I'm not, these goals that I had, which were quite lofty, are just not being achieved. And so it's just like, I'm not quitting. I have 8 years under my belt in terms of getting here. I'm going to learn. So I became a lifelong learner in terms of women's health and specifically menopause, perimenopause, hormonal balance. But as I kind of went along this path, I realized, well, of course, women aren't just a number. look at how different we are. Look at what our beliefs are and what motivates us and actually where we want to go in our lives. So I
Mm,
realized, oh, part of being a doctor is guiding women in my situation to their greater potential.
yeah.
Part of that potential is being radiant and vibrant and alive and really not being afraid to know that failure is an essential part of success. So that failure for me propelled me into a stubbornness, kind of like
Mm,
Churchill doing the, not to that degree, but kind of like, Churchill, he dug his
yeah.
in and he was not.
Yeah.
So I did that. I am not giving up. So I went to Europe and I learned more from the French doctors and some of the German doctors, and I bought bioidentical hormones back. And it was really, it was almost miraculous how women came alive, like watering a plant when I
Wow.
started treating them more correctly. And it's not only the number, it's not only the hormones, it's their philosophy, their beliefs, who they
Yeah.
are, what they want.
Their essence. Like, yes, yes.
Their
Oh, I
essence.
love that. I love that. And ladies, this is so like again, if this podcast is only for me, then that's fine because it is speaking so much to me. I turned 40 back in September
Mm.
and it was like a switch. I had a set of quadruplets 10 years ago and about a year, I know. That's a whole different thing.
Bless
But
you, bless you, my child.
but after that, about 2 years after that, I ended up having a hysterectomy and, I have one ovary. And so at 40, I turned 40, and almost that day, I started having all these symptoms. And I remember crying to my friend who's in her 60s. And I was like, why is everything that I am built on hormones? Like, I didn't recognize myself anymore. And I was like, how am I supposed to lead my children? And I'm trying to take care of my aging parents. And I'm in this middle, right? And I feel like I'm falling apart. You were talking about failure. I felt like I was failing myself and everybody around me. And so I know that there are women listening that are like, yes, preach. And so thank you for being in this service because it needs to be a conversation that is happening more frequently, that there's no shame associated with it. And we need to
Yeah.
be able to have these open and honest conversations to really help women live their best lives. So again, thank you for this service. And once you decided, okay, this is it, I'm digging my heels in, this is where we need to be. What did you start to see happening where you're like, okay, and then you kind of went and founded the Hall Center and, now have developed this whole practice. What changed for you there?
Well, so first of all, it was the need that was expressed that I hadn't known about. I thought I knew how to do really everything. It was such a rigorous training program. So I saw a need and I mean, I had the background of my sisters and the conversations that we would have. I'm very close with all of my sisters and my brother. And I saw the conversations that we had. And it's like, well, gee, I was kind of trained that one size fits all. And it was like one size does not fit all. My sister
It's
Catherine
not.
Millicent and from Eleanor and from me. And I then was hooked up a little bit later with functional medicine. And
Mm,
it's Jeff Bland, just a luminary, Dr. Jeff Bland, who said, let's get to the core root causes of diseases. And if you water the roots of the trees, all that there where the leaves are dying, those leaves are going to become green again. We don't, paint the leaves green. We don't just treat the symptom,
right.
go to the core root cause. So I started bringing this vast information in, which changed the way I practice medicine. And I was one of the beginning people in that field. I think when I did my first session with Jeff Bland, I mean, the first series of sessions, we were about 40 people, maybe 35 people and looking at changing the paradigm of how I practiced. It was a
Mm,
radical change. Uh,
yeah.
and, seeing the results and seeing what didn't work and not blaming myself, certainly never blaming the person I was working with, but, I
Right.
can be a little judgmental with myself. I want results. I want them so much that I
Mm,
can become attached to that outcome. And so I had to tame some of my impatience. I had to learn how to really listen,
Hmm.
What does she really need? What is she saying? So all of these were skills that I've learned over many years. I've been I mean,
Yeah.
40-year, 4-decade career behind me, really pushing this field forward. And uh, I realized that women start to feel menopausal very frequently in their mid to late 30s.
Mm.
Just a subtle decrease in the amount of estrogen and hormones that their ovaries are making. And they would go to their gynecologist, and the gynecologist would say, "Oh, you're fine." And they would be looking
Right.
at the labs. It's like, wait, you're not fine. And I know we're going to look at your labs, but you have hot flashes. You're feeling depressed and down. I mean, what you just said, Julianne, I didn't feel like myself. That's
Right.
classic. I hear that all day long from new patients. Just who is this person? I'm
Right.
angry and I can't think things through. And who am I?
Yes.
Very big key for women who might be in perimenopause. And then doctors would say, gynecologists say, "Oh, you're too young for any hormone changes."
Yes.
I see just at 20, women on the birth control pill. Oh my God, they look like they're menopausal when I'm looking at their
Mm.
hormones. And many, many, many women on the pill feel that they don't know who they are. They lose their
Yeah.
self-worth, they lose their essence, their oomph, their confidence.
Yeah.
So because their
Wow.
hormones are suppressed, their hormones are very,
Right.
very suppressed. I've looked at 100. I've looked at probably millions of labs over the last 4 decades,
Right.
at least hundreds and hundreds
Right.
and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. So it's quite a ride. Wanting to
Yeah.
wanting to learn, knowing that I had leagues more to learn. I
Right.
bring humility to it, willing to feel like a failure, willing to uh, find new ways of. In fact, when I was a senior resident, I used to train my interns and residents. I'd say, "Look, it's the art of medicine. Let's do
Right.
creative medicine. Let's find solutions that are not really presenting themselves traditionally." So
Right.
it's how we approach life. We're creative with life.
Right. And it's so important. And I'm thinking about all the women that are listening right now who, again, maybe haven't recognized the brain fog or the hot flashes or the bouts of depression, right, as being perimenopause because they've always been told, oh, your labs are fine or look, you'll be great. It's fine. You're too young for that. And so that again, they start to have this self-doubt creep in, thinking that what do I not know what I'm doing anymore? Can I not show up how I need to show up anymore? And listening to you talk about how you had to get really clear with yourself on, yes, you want to be attached to the outcome, but understanding through it's okay to fail through some things because you're failing forward, right? You're learning. It's not I failed at what I was thinking this was going to be. It's I failed in how I approached it, and now I'm going to take a different avenue. And that so applies to every area of our life for these women who are, leading in CEO roles or janitor roles or whatever, leading just in your family. Being able to say, oh, it's not what I thought it was going to be. But there is hope. There is a way. There is and so when somebody comes to you, what do you start to kind of take them through?
So before they come to me, their hormones are done. They've already had their blood drawn. And I look at urine, saliva, and blood, but I start with blood. And I don't look at the labs. I don't look at the labs before because I know in an instant, when I look at the labs. And I really want to hear what that woman has to say. So it's quite a long consult. It's an hour, maybe an hour and a half consult. And I want to know, what are her symptoms? When did this happen? What feels wrong to her, as opposed to, has she ever felt well? Has she ever
Mm.
had? And when did that start to wane? And I identify the things that we absolutely have to change, because many times women will have 15 symptoms. And I mean, they're anything from joint pain to memory loss to, 30 pounds of weight or 100 pounds of weight, whatever. So I really start getting an idea also of what is her philosophy about her life. Does she feel, I'm a very natural doctor, but at the same time, I don't consider bioidentical hormones, which that's exactly the same hormones that our bodies are making. So your estrogen is mine, your testosterone is the same as mine. So I don't consider that to be really a pharmaceutical, like an
Right.
antibiotic or Adderall that kind of makes them
Right.
better, but on some instances, but doesn't really, it's not mimicking really, it's not, we don't make Adderall. Like most
Right. 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 Right.
think, oh, they're Prozac deficient. I don't think that. I don't
Nope, that's not a thing.
I think a lot of people do, but yeah, okay, they might be serotonin deficient. But listen, so it's individualizing care too. And then we go through looking at all the different levels. Okay, here's your estrogen. Now, perimenopause is really a very specific set of hormones. The estrogen is just a little bit lower. The FSH, that's the brain hormone, might be just a little bit higher, but maybe not, depending on where the blood is drawn in her menstrual cycle.
Right.
So the best time to really pick up perimenopause is, probably day 1 or 2 of the menstrual cycle. I mean, I can pick it up no matter what. I would say
Hmm.
99.9% of the time. But if you really want to see blood levels that show someone is in perimenopause, usually day 1 or 2 of the period is the best. And I look at the thyroid right here in the neck. I look at
Yep.
the adrenal stress hormones, which are located right on the back of the kidneys. I look at the sunshine hormone, the skin hormone, that's the D3, the sugar levels, the insulin, the pancreatic hormones.
Right.
And the goal is to balance them all back to youthful levels. And then lifestyle. Oh my God, lifestyle
Yes.
is so important.
Yes.
I had to learn about diet. I mean, that's been a lifelong real passion of mine. What foods are good and what should we eat? There was
Yes.
none of that in my medical training. None. I did not have
Right.
a single nutrition class. Or like,
Isn't that mind blowing? That is mind blowing to me. That, I
yeah,
think now it's one of the heiresses of Walmart just opened a clinic or a huge hospital in Texas, maybe, where she's making sure that her residents in medical training are getting nutrition training for that purpose to make sure that they understand what people are putting in their bodies because that makes a difference.
food is medicine. What we eat
Yes.
determines, just like the hormone levels we have, what we eat, how we choose to exercise, our thoughts. I've concentrated a lot with my patients on kind of the thought process they go through and the ways they judge themselves and the kinds of, what kind of traumas have you had? And I discovered recently about myself, Julianne, I was shocked by this because I've done a lot of trauma work. I had a first grade teacher that put me in front of the class and would ridicule me and tell me I'm stupid, and she'd pinch me and hurt me. And recently I realized that that tormentor of me when I was 6, I embodied part of her. I had,
Wow.
and that was ways that I would sabotage myself, not other people. Definitely not other people, but I was doing that to myself. And it's just like, with all the work I've done, I didn't see that connection. And it was
Yeah.
actually a Jungian analyst, my Jungian analyst I see once a week actually said, well, yeah, I mean, you embodied that teacher who tormented you. And so now that he didn't really say it, but it's like now that I know that,
Right.
that doesn't have to happen because really I've been on a path of self-love so I can love more deeply other people and my patients.
Yeah.
So that was
Yes.
just really getting to know and heal the trauma that we've had is, I think, essential for to become a good leader and a
Yes.
leader. Because if not,
Absolutely.
blame other people and we're bitter and we can't forgive. Forgiveness is a huge tenet of
Right.
leadership. I mean, look at Nelson
Yes.
Mandela. I mean,
Right.
forgiveness created, the love and empathy necessary to rebuild that nation. Um,
Right. Yeah. I mean, you cannot lead other people when you yourself are empty, right? And we talk about that all the time, especially with moms trying to pour out, and they're not getting poured back into. but that goes all the way down to your cellular level, right? If you're completely depleted cellularly in some particular area, you got to replenish that too. And so I think it's so important for women to again hear this conversation. And I know because I'm thinking it too. But what does the timeline look like? And I know there's, it's not a one size fits all. But when somebody's like, okay, I'm done, I'm calling her, I'm getting an appointment, I need help, this has got to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. I'm willing now to take those next steps forward. What is her timeline looking at? Because you're going to go into all the physical parts, everything that's going on inside, but also again what she's eating, how she's exercising, her self-express, like all of those things. What is her? And I hate even saying timeline, but what is her timeline?
Important. I think that setting realistic expectations so someone doesn't give up and feel that it's hopeless and not working is very
Right.
important because it will work. I've just been in this field too long to know. I mean, with a couple of patients, I had to work with them for a year. Now, that is so rare. I mean, I
Mm,
two patients I'm thinking of, I love them both, but I mean, they were just so there was such a rigidity in their body and in the thoughts.
mm,
It took a year before they started blooming and just feeling wonderful. But generally, I see them and then we call them in a couple of days and make sure that they have the hormones. Do they know what to do, even though they have the plan in front of them? And then we call them in 3 weeks and say, is anything bad happening? Is there a glimmer of anything good? And a lot of women will say, yeah, I don't have any hot flashes anymore. And oh, I feel, a little bit hopeful. I feel less down. I feel, my sleep is maybe a little bit better. And then I see them at 2 months and they redo their hormones again. Not all the labs that I do the first time, but they redo the critical hormones. And then I start getting real results after that second visit.
mm.
Because we're all unique. And sometimes you can barely touch a woman with estrogen and it'll be almost too much for her. And other times we have to dip them in chocolate,
Right. Soak
dip them
them in
in water.
there.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, by 4 months, everything's changed.
Wow.
So we're feeling so much better. And I mean, now it's so easy for me to just see it and to know that that will happen. And if it
Mm,
doesn't, I tell women we're all individuals and it might take a little less, it might take a little more. Call us. I mean, if you get discouraged or if you need help, call us. Let us know. That message will
yeah.
get me and I will send you the message
Yes.
back. So the timeline I would say is 3 to 6 months. 6 months is a long time for women. And by 6 months, it's like every once in a while, maybe twice a year, somebody will say at 3 months, I just don't feel any different.
Mm.
That's a challenge for me. So I say, okay, so
You're like, ah.
so that means you're having terrible hot flashes waking 3 and 4 times a night? Oh, no, 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 I don't have any hot flashes. I'm really actually, I'm awake once a night. Okay, well, what about the terrible depression, anxiety, rage that you were experiencing? Oh, well, I still get angry once in a while, but yeah, no, no, I feel pretty good because we don't see ourselves. And I go through each symptom that they presented. And I said, I see. Is it that you haven't lost the weight and that's why you feel nothing is happening?
So good.
It's like, yeah, I haven't gained, lost 20 pounds.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
we work really, really hard on that. Once the hormones are balanced, the weight starts to come off.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
We
I mean,
don't,
our bodies are just amazing. And we put them through the ringer, y'all. We do. We're so
yes,
mean
we
to
do.
ourselves.
Think about, oh my God, childbirth, just a single child. Women are so depleted. Their hormone levels fall after menopause from an estradiol level of, let's say, 175 to 250 down to 5 or
Oh
10.
my gosh.
They're exhausted and they're depressed and I mean, they just, they're wrung out to dry. They're just
Right.
in the pasture. So I love working with perimenopausal, I mean, postpartum, sorry, patients. I love working with all of those, by the way, but postpartum patients, because that is quickly changed within a week,
Wow. Wow.
in a week, really.
That is so huge because that's a time where you feel like, again, all this stuff is happening inside of your body and you're trying to take care of this little human. So you already feel like, whoa. So I love
So,
that. So how do people get in touch with you? How do they know that coming to the Hall Center is going to be the path for them? What would you have them look at?
well, I mean, just the logistics of it, they just call the office and talk to the staff and share what, they're going through, and we send them the lab slip and they have an appointment, and many of my appointments are on Zoom. And we go from there. I mean, they're
Yeah.
off and running, and we keep track of our new patients because they're desperate. Julianne, most of the time they're really quite desperate, and we can't let them drop. We have to be there for them and to keep, and we cheer them on and we give them information and books and all kinds of resources, and so it's really easy. I mean, it's not miraculous. It's just the
Yeah.
process is miraculous. But getting hold of me is really easy. And I see new patients. I see about two new patients a day. And I really take people's health and what they're going through, um, very seriously. I mean, this is their life, and they're either going to
Right.
bloom and become radiant and regain their sense of self and what they can do. I mean, you want to have a good life, create some element of being in service in your life. Really,
Yes.
that is the basis. And women, after they have their kind of their balance back and themselves back, they've started orphanages. They've climbed huge mountains, seven peaks. They've
Mm.
given themselves to opening schools in countries where girls aren't educated, writing books, and that is the miracle. That's
Yeah.
to see who we really are. And we have another whole life. Because if you don't balance your hormones, and you're going to stay in menopause for the rest of your life.
Right.
So, like, let's say it starts at 37 or 38, and the average age of menopause now is 44 to about 48. That's really when it's really full blast. So, if we don't address it, then we stay really in that depleted state for the next 40 or 50 years.
Gosh. Oh,
I
sad.
know.
Because there's no reason to. And again, that's why having these conversations and getting it out there is so very important. Because again, this isn't just a leadership conversation, right? This is women who we are at our core and how we can show up best for ourselves, for our partners, for our children, for those that we lead. And that's really what matters. And I love that you help bring that vibrancy back to them. So, Prudence, for the woman who's listening right now, and she's probably crying in her car listening, and she's like, "That's
Sweetheart.
me, that's me." What would be like your one last piece of advice or just inspiration or something that was spoken to you at some point that just really helped you go, okay, I can do this. This breakthrough is for me. What would you say to her?
I would say know yourself. That's one of the greatest leadership roles that we'll have in our life is to really get to know what's running us and what do we really love. I mean, when you think about Joseph Campbell, follow your bliss, find what you love and immerse yourself in that. And also, anytime, like my house burned down in the Palisades fire, and I said, what an opportunity. What an opportunity. And that has guided, everything in my life. This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity
Yeah,
to really look at things differently, to know something about myself that I didn't know, to bring all of that knowledge and that selfness into a selfless serving position. Because to lead is to serve. And for us,
absolutely.
our own leader in our own life takes infinite compassion for ourselves. I mean, I talk to myself like I talk to my children when they're young. I'll say, "Oh,
Yeah.
honey, you really made a mistake." It's okay.
Yeah, you're still a good person. You just made a mistake.
Yeah, talk to people and let them know that you made a mistake. So creating a culture of kindness for everyone that I
Yes.
work with. will really instill the same thing in myself. So treat yourself with kindness and love, and don't, you know, don't judge, learn. And,
Yes.
um, and just bring that beauty of who you are to everyone you touch. When someone serves me a cappuccino, it's like, God, what a sweet man, or what a
Yeah.
sweet woman serving me my cappuccino. So gratitude. Walk through
Yes.
life really, really being in a state of open-hearted gratitude and delight with what life is bringing you. I mean, delight, if you want to speak Jamaican,
Yes.
delight, and be
Yes.
the light. Be.
Yes. Okay, so I know you have a book. What's the name of your book?
It's called Radiant Again and Forever. It's absolutely free. I wrote it to give it away. Go to my website, thehallcenter.com, put in your email, and it's downloaded immediately to your email. So you can just read
Right.
the
Yeah.
first
Oh,
chapter.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
Suzanne,
that. I mean,
write
I
it.
think we all need a Prudence to just listen to and have with us all day, every day. Do you have a podcast or any other things that you're doing, Dr. Prudence, that we could just be involved with you with?
Yes, I'm on YouTube and I'm on various other things. At one point, things got a little bit overwhelming, so I kind of withdrew some from social media. But now I'm really, that's the platform. That's the
Yeah.
platform in which to serve.
Yes.
And um, yeah, so I welcome everyone. I welcome everyone to walk with me as I continue learning and growing. And thank you so much for the beautiful segue of the physical self, Julianne, into leadership. I mean, that's gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Thank you for being who you are and what you're
Thank you.
all of us.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of it. We will be sure to drop all of her links in the show notes so that y'all can connect with her as well. I feel lighter and better today just having spoken with her. So I'm excited. All right, ladies, that's all we have for you today. Be sure to follow us at womenleaderspodcast.com for more information. Bye for now.